Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's up, man? I'm back again. My hair is longer.
Back again, Mr. Eloy in the podcast.
My hair is longer.
Hell yeah. Welcome back to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, short notice, but still, who cares? We'll still hang out, do our thing. So, everybody, if you guys don't already know, Eloy was on the you're actually the first person ever to be on this podcast. You're the first guest ever.
All right.
You lived in San Francisco with me for a while, not with me, but in the area, and you just rode your motorcycle all the way down here. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not the first time, but yeah, it's been a while since I've done that.
But yeah, that's a long ride, right? That's 6 hours in the car is one thing, but 6 hours on a motorcycle is another thing.
Let me put it to you this way: and you're in your car driving from San Francisco to LA. The cons of that is traffic and gas, like the amount of gas you're gonna spend, right?
That's true. Yeah.
I feel like that's about it. And then that's literally about it. But the pros for motorcycle is the opposite of that. Like you save gas and you don't really hit much traffic, and so. But all the weather conditions, you have to go through them like through yourself, in your car, you're just putting up like a AC or the heater, whatever it is. Like if I'm going through the mountains, I'm freezing my ass off until I hopefully get a cloud to move so the sun can shine on me.
and that's the wind, the noise, the decibels coming from the bike and the wind noise itself.
I wear earplugs.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah. I know from riding bikes or even motorized bicycles that once you hit a certain speed, your body, the elements is too much,
Yeah.
I think after 45 miles an hour, that's when it becomes hard to go fast. You know what I mean? I don't know. At least for me on a bike or whatever, or on a motorized bike.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a windshield though. Or
that's a problem. Yeah.
I have I installed that. So on that bike, I have a Iron 883 Harley Davidson. And
that's a new blacked out version, right?
Yeah. It's a Sportster. And then so pretty much they usually come without anything, or they'll come with a small windshield or fairing or whatever you want to call it. Not a fairing, it's just windshield. And so I added a bigger one because I was gonna go to Seattle one time. I don't think we were talking at the time. Maybe
probably not. No. I don't remember you mentioning anything.
Yeah, I rode to Seattle from Hayward, from Oakland.
And that's about the same distance, right? From here north than from.
It's 14 hours.
It's 14 hours? Yeah. I was thinking Oregon, Portland.
Nah, I went from I took off from Hayward, and I went to Oregon. It's called Crater Lake. It's this huge fucking lake, dude. It looks like an asteroid hit there fucking million years ago and shit. And there's just water. And it's super dope. But
sorry, I'm typing away on the chat, saying what's up to everyone. Making sure we're checking in with our peoples.
I rode all the way over there, and then I camped out in the snow. I was by myself, dude. I was scared as shit. It was scary, dude. I don't do that. I'm not white,
So we now that we're talking about transportation, we were just talking about off stream that we wanted to kind of cover a particular topic, in regards to because all the major cities where you were at, Seattle and Portland and LA and San Francisco, there's been this thing happening where everywhere you go, there are people providing service, or not people, companies providing people services, right? And we've all dealt with it at some point of our lives, working for these companies.
Yeah.
And they don't actually give you a job. They give you you're like a contractor or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like an independent contractor, and they hire you for these things. And it could be Uber, it could be Lyft, it could be jump bikes, it could be Bird scooters, it could be DoorDash, it could be Postmates, it could be, the list is endless, right? There's so many of these services now. You can even get weed delivered to your house. You can get all this crazy stuff. So you come in all the way from over there, like, you know, I was wondering, like, because San Francisco's kind of like the epicenter for most of that stuff, right? Like,
Yeah, because it's easy. I feel like it's easy to in the city, and like the city south there, like San Mateo, Palo Alto, and all those. Like, well, the people who create these companies, you know, they're in those. They start off.
that's where they hang out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like the
yeah.
what is it called? Like
Silicon Valley area or whatever.
the R&D, the research and development. You know, like
yeah, yeah.
and so they start there, and it's easy because it's so compact to like try those things out. You know, like I think the little robot started there, and then I recently I saw somebody who recorded a Postmates robot around here, and I was like, why don't you kick that shit over? Like,
Yeah, there's drone deliveries.
it's so weird.
There's you know, all kinds of ridiculous ideas that are like not sustainable. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times, I feel like it's all like a gimmick. Like what I want to talk about mostly when it came down to that was like how nobody really has a good experience. You know what I mean? Like at least in being employed by them, or you can't even really call it employment because you're just kind of like doing something like a side hustle or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
The claims that they make, like if we go on the internet and we look it up, it's always like, oh, work for Uber today and make up to some ridiculous like $90,000 a year or something stupid like this, you know?
But those people are working like 20 hours a day.
But even then, like we did some calculations, right? Because like I'll tell like everybody a true story. Like someone in my family wanted to work for DoorDash and for Uber and all these companies, right? Mm-hmm. But so when she thought it might, like, 'cause she's like kind of in her older age, she thought it might be too hard to like deliver people places, you know, having to deal with like strangers in your car. So she thought, I'll just work for DoorDash and like Postmates and I'll just deliver food, right? And like at a glance, it seems like a good idea. But when you start looking at how much they pay you per delivery, right? And how what is your expense in gas? What is your expense in mileage on your car? You know, like wear and tear. And what are you going to pay at the end of the year in taxes? And when you calculate all those other factors that people don't think about at the moment, at the end of the year, you lose money. You know what I mean? It's like they're letting you borrow some money now, but you're going to have to pay it later. You know what I mean?
You actually, I mean, when I did it, I did it for about 4 months. I didn't do it too often, like, because I would work like from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to like 2 a.m.
And you did this when you first moved up to SF?
Yeah, because so when I first moved out there, I was making like a lot less than I'm making now. And so, you know, I was using that to sustain myself a little more and stuff. And I would do it after hours, like late at night. So pretty much the only orders I would get was like Jack in the Box, you know, like all the midnight, after midnight shit.
All the weed smoking people ordering food at night.
Yeah, and they were cool, you know. And actually the time I met you, I was doing that shit.
Yeah.
Remember, I was doing like the DoorDash, and I was actually on a delivery. I didn't meet you at that moment, but that's when like we first kicked it, cause like we hadn't kicked it up until this point, and I was like doing the delivery, and then I seen you, and I was like Rick, and we were like in San Francisco.
That's right, you were doing DoorDash or something.
Yeah, yeah. So well, anyway, I finished the delivery, but anyway, so like, yeah, I was doing that to sustain myself. I think at the time they were paying $7 a delivery, and then you get tips, and some people are really fucking nice. I'm not one of those people. Like, I give like $1 sometimes too. Like, I started doing it to the point where like, yo, like I am paying for a service. Like, if I ask for fucking sauces or some shit like that, I'm gonna check the bag, and I give cash now. Cause like DoorDash, they make you tip before you order.
Okay.
Postmates doesn't require until your next order. Like, hey, remember last week when you ordered? Like how was your delivery? Do you want to tip the person $2 or whatever? And sometimes like people order constantly, so like you'll get it like right away or the next day or whatever.
And sometimes it takes a while.
Or sometimes it takes, and you know, it comes through though. But like that's one thing I don't like DoorDash. But that's just platforms or whatever. Oh, shit, my bad.
Yeah, it's like the difference between Uber and Lyft or whatever. Like same thing. You can tip people. Like I think Lyft requires you to do it like before you ride, and then or like when you ask for the ride, or as soon as the ride is done. And then Uber, I think they don't even require you that you tip. Like, you don't have to or whatever. Mm-mm. Yeah. So like,
they actually added that way later because Lyft Lyft had it first.
Yeah, yeah. And then all that stuff is, again, like with cars is especially difficult to talk about because nobody considers like the fact that basically what they're doing is instead of maintaining like a whole fleet of vehicles, you know, like instead of having like a lot of delivery trucks or cars or whatever, they borrow people's property. You know, they have you use your vehicles to go and deliver all that stuff, so they don't have to actually invest in the infrastructure of the delivery mechanism. You know what I mean?
Well, actually,
unlike the post office or anyone else, they gotta, you know.
I just got one of those settlement things in the mail, like, because I guess they're suing them now for like low wages or wages that they were cutting back from them.
Right, that's cool.
I don't feel like I want to, because I was actually really thinking about doing it again, because
I mean, you can take the settlement and still do it.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, they're paying you out anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
It's probably for something like I'm saying, like, you know, like it's aversive. Like people are not paying attention to the numbers. It's like predatory lending, you know? Like they let people who don't have money, they let them borrow money that they can't pay back.
Yeah.
And then whatever they buy, they just take it away, and they keep the money that they already paid off, you know? So they do that for houses. They do it for, like, you know, like all around the hood, there's like all these places called PLS.
What is that?
Something check cashing is like one of those many check cashing places. Check cashing, yeah. Well, I always, like, every time I look at it, I always clown it. I always call it predatory lending store, PLS.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just so perfect, because that's exactly what they do. Like, they just tax people, basically. They're like loan sharks in the hood, like legal loan sharks.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need to hire a buff dude to come and beat you up. They can get the cops to go and arrest you.
No
you know?
shit.
Yeah. A debt will go to collections, and if the collections is too high and you avoid it, like the legal, eventually at the end of the line, the legal limit is you're probably gonna go to jail if you don't pay it, or they're gonna threaten you with ruining your credit and taking away other opportunities from your life. You know, just because you are a victim to this. It's criminal, in my opinion. You know, lending people money. In the same way, I think like Uber and Lyft and all these places, I think they're kind of criminal too. Like,
they definitely are. I mean, like for certain people, like one thing about the best thing about like Uber or Lyft is, like, you know, it was like a cheap thing, to do so that people like who didn't have cars or who can afford a cheap ride somewhere, or the people who were
I think you're right. Like, look, I think what you're trying to say is like the idea behind like ride share is obviously a very good idea, you know.
But when
especially drunk drivers and things like this, you know, like imagine how much help like Uber and Lyft has had on people not driving places and getting faded and then wrecking, you know. It's probably like a big deal, you know. I just wish that it wasn't like some crazy private organization who's trying to like rob everyone.
And I was about to get to that, like, but like when the CEO is a fucking billionaire now, like,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like, what is he doing? You know, all these people. I don't know. I feel like they started to really like take in more money for themselves when they were trying to develop systems. I have a roommate who works for Uber. He was working on the automated truck delivery, but I think Tesla beat them to it.
Yeah, I've also worked for Uber for their bike program Jump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of work for the bike because, you know, I'm in the bike industry, so it's affected me as well.
Uber's Jump.
Jump, yeah, and Uber like they
do they have scooter
own it.
Too?
They have the scooters and the bikes. Yeah.
What's their scooter?
The Jump scooter. Yeah, and they actually own another subsidiary company under a different name as well. And they also like, yeah, it's all like conflated. Like they're basically homies, and they all know the same. They're in the same game. You know what I mean? Like they're all doing the same thing, but like, and now it's all connected. Like what I was doing before was working for when I first came back to LA. I wanted to see what it was about. Like here, like they had the Metro bike share thing, right? And
you got into that for a bit, right?
Yeah, I wanted to see what that bike share thing was about, and then then I went to Uber. And Uber pays a lot more, but again, like
it's a shitty company.
They're crazy, dude. They're just like, it's just straight robbery. It's amazing, actually. And they're not robbing people like they're not robbing the clients who use the service. Like that's not who they're robbing. Like they're robbing taxpayers. They're robbing like the municipal like areas where they set up the bikes.
How so?
They charge the city like a grip of money. They're like, yo, like we're gonna set up a bike share system in your city, right? And it's gonna be a metro bike share system, and it's gonna allow people to get around, right? It's great. Every city has one. That's how they sell it, right? And then the city's like, okay, how much? And they're like, this much, like a crazy tab, you know, like $1 million or more, you know, just
Like
to
a
start, yeah, just for the year, yeah. So the city gives them all this money, then they take this money, and like, of course, this company, specifically for Metro, you would think that if it was Metro Bike Share, that it would be like the municipal, like MTA, right? Like the Metro people.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not even those people, dude. It's another company called Bicycle Transit Systems, and they're from like the East Coast. And so they're taking money from California, and they're just like sending it all to the East Coast, and they're distributing it to all their homies, and everyone who doesn't actually do anything. Of course, they get paid a grip, you know, like people whose titles are like nothing, like administrative this and that, you know, and they don't do anything. They get all of the money. And then, of course, the people who work in the neighborhood, if it were up to them, they wouldn't even hire anyone from the neighborhood, dude, that they're operating in. But they have to, because the city required it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It said, no, you're required to hire like a certain amount of people from LA, from the neighborhood that you're going to work in. Exactly. Whatever, yeah. But if it were up to them, they wouldn't even do that. And this other company, Bicycle Transit Systems.
To them, it's just like they're losing money.
Yeah. They don't care about that. They just, you know, they want to keep the money like with them, you know? And so these companies, they funnel the money, the municipal money, our taxpayer money that we pay taxes for here in California. They take that money and they use it for their own private companies, for their own startups. And then meanwhile, if you go to downtown LA, those bikes, nobody gives a shit about those bikes. Nobody fucking rides those things. You know what I mean? So that's already a problem. They're like less than one ride per day per bike. So like that's terrible. Like that's not even a good business model. Like every year they lose money. Yeah, every year they use money.
The city or the company that...
The company doesn't even make money. It's not even profitable.
Oh,
so the city gives them money, and the company doesn't even make it back, not even a little bit. Not even 20%. Like, literally all the money is going down the dump. They're just throwing it away. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And San Francisco definitely uses them.
Yeah, but even up there, the ridership is not... They every year, they always lose money. But it's not as bad as here.
Okay.
Over there... Like, they have the Ford Go bikes. Yeah. Remember when those things appeared in San Francisco? Everybody hated those things. Remember in the Mission District area? They lit them on fire. And
I didn't know that shit.
No, you didn't know that?
Yeah. Damn.
When they first appeared, they appeared everywhere. And, like, all at once like that. And it's the same problem. Ford, out of all the companies, you know, put up a bunch of money to have their ugly-ass logo over all these bikes all across the city. That's like, to me, that's like graffiti. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see Ford everywhere. Like, get that shit out of here, you know?
It's still there.
Yeah, they're still there, of course. But, you know, even if they all got lit on fire and got thrown into the bay, like, they were like, it's nothing to them. Because they don't care about the actual bikes. Like, they just care about setting up the system for the city. Yeah. It's like a contract.
The bike probably costs like $100 to make or something.
No, they cost a little bit of money. Yeah, they're kind of expensive, yeah. But, you know, they don't care about maintaining them. You know, the lifespan for one of those bikes or scooters is like 1 to 2 months. Like, it's going to be out in the field for like 1 to 2 months before it gets fucking trashed.
Yeah, by some fucking...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy, dude.
Have you seen the tweakers over there just riding around on painted Ford bikes?
Remember that there was like a whole page of like people just... Instagram page of people just launching bird scooters and lime scooters.
Oh,
like
yeah,
bridges and shit.
Yeah, we might be able to pull that up later.
I'm down.
Yeah, but... Dude, people, like, I think it was called hashtag cease and desist. And people were just, like, the messengers in San Francisco, you know, like, we used to be kind of connected with the people who rode bikes over there. And, yeah, they were always, like, every time they would ride by, they would U-lock them to stuff, you know, and, like, just leave the lock there. Or like, cut the wires or throw them over the bridge. Or just, if you see, like, a nice, neat pile of, like, 10 scooters, just domino them, you know. This happens everywhere. And, like, I'm not condoning that people go and destroy this property, you know, because, like, obviously that's criminal, you know.
And that's a waste of, I don't know, it's already made, you know, like, why destroy resources? They're just going to make more, like. You know, they're not
Yeah,
gonna fucking
yeah.
stop.
They're not gonna stop. They're just gonna
They're not
they're just gonna
fucking
order more batteries from China.
I was
you know?
working
and all
at-
that shit comes from China too.
I was
dude.
working at a place where they were making a shitload of them, like for like 6 months. I feel like this company was contracted for like a cool minute, because right before I just got fired on last Tuesday.
Oh no.
And so right before, like probably like
That's
a
terrible.
month ago, like they kind of just disappeared from that warehouse. But they like had like hundreds of bikes and Lime scooters, like just they would like stack them up, and then
Yeah.
you'd see them like slowly bring them out to the parking
Dude,
lot.
it's literally it's ridiculous, bro. You wouldn't even understand how stupid it feels to work at one of these places. Like when you work at like any other store, like where the whole point is to get people to ride a bike, or you work at a car dealership, you want to get someone to drive a nice car because it's nice, and you want to get them all the features and all. It's like it feels like you're doing something, right?
Yeah, because you're pretty much like helping them boost their ego with what they're about to buy, like something that's to
also
the
true. Yeah.
individual,
or you want to get them, if it's like whatever you're selling, it's because you believe in the product and you want them to use it, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. But of course, there's some shady businesses out there too. But these places, they literally do not care about anything. They don't care about the laws, because it was illegal for them to dump all that stuff on the street when they did it.
Yeah, you remember you told me
And
about
then
that.
the city indicted them and was like, "Hey, yo, like we're gonna fine you $100,000 each company unless you get them out all by tomorrow." And they did it somehow. And it's the same thing with the scooters. They don't actually do anything. Like they just put out a bulletin and told all the people at work, like, because people work charging those. They don't even charge. They don't even maintain them. Like the mechanics that work for Lime, they're also contracted. Like they go at night with their car and pick up the scooters.
The mechanics?
They throw them in their car. They take them to their house, and then they have like some random dude who's not qualified, who took a random test online. Like, is this a disc brake? Yes, and like, does this bolt fit there? No, like this, that kind of questionnaire.
Fuck?
You take a test like this, and then all of a sudden you're a qualified mechanic, right?
I did that for a bit too. The charging.
Yeah, and then you go and pick up the scooters. You charge them
But
the same way.
You need a truck though.
Yeah, you need some kind of transportation.
There was a cool
to get
system
it
for that shit. I don't know if you actually tried it, but so when I first did it, like I remember I went out and I was like, okay, I went bird hunting, quote unquote, right? Because like for bird, like they have like these weird like terms or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I went bird hunting, and I remember the first couple ones I got, I was like, oh, cool, easy. I took them back to my house, started charging them, and then I remember I was like looking for one around my pad, because around my pad it's not like a busy area, so it was kind of hard to find them around me or whatever. And I found one, and I was like, oh, so this is how it works. Like, if they go offline after they lose their battery for the day, like within the first 2 hours or something, the first couple hours, they only give you $5 for retrieving that and then charging it and then putting out the next day. If that bird has been offline for more than like 10 hours, they increase the price to $10. And then once you charge it, you put it back onto the street, they'll give you $10. But if it's been out for more than 24 hours, you get $20. So what I discovered really early on was that a lot of people just fucking keep them in their houses for like a day.
Just wait till it got to the 24-hour mark.
And then they themselves go out and so I would like go out and be like, what the fuck? Where am I? And I'd be like clicking on the damn like making it chirp or whatever. And like they'd be behind like gates or inside garages, and I was like, oh, shit.
Inside of closed like
and I was like, I'm gonna do that shit too. Fuck it, like you gotta play the game, dude, because like it was crazy out there, like like
it's ridiculous, dude.
But I couldn't do it because like some people have trucks and you fucking stack like 30 of them, and with me it was like I had my little car and like.
But even then, like if we did the math, like say you had a pickup truck,
it's worth it.
You think it's worth it if you picked up 20 of them?
Yeah, dude, 20 times 20.
Yeah, but
that's $400 for a day.
But realistically, you're gonna get like a bunch of $5 ones, and then maybe but that's why, like, $10 ones.
You would keep them though.
And they don't even give you they sell you their charger for you to charge their fucking scooters. That's whack. Like, yo, send me one for free in the mail. Like, why you gotta slang it to me? Like, that's whack. They're not losing money anywhere. You know what I mean? And with the charging, if you think about it, imagine how much it would cost to set up a facility to keep a bunch of scooters and have them constantly charging. And then you'd have to hire people to drive out in vans and pick up all these scooters, take them back to that warehouse, charge them, you know, check them for repairs and shit, send them out. That's how Uber does it. That's the difference between Uber and all the other scooter companies. Uber Jump actually has a facility, yeah, where they go and they pick up these scooters. They take them there. They actually have some employees, and the employees are basically technicians who do repairs, because people, of course, they vandalize everything, and then they have the guys who do the charging and the picking up all the shit, you know.
Oh, okay.
So where other guys like Lime and Bird, they just have other people do it. You know?
Yeah,
they don't even have a place to do that.
I feel like that makes more sense. I mean, I get what you're saying. You know, like they're pretty much paying somebody to waste their own resources. You know, their house power.
Because if someone went and calculated, like, okay, I made this much money, but then minus gas.
Like I remember my
all
roommates. You know, like I remember when I brought him home, this fool was like, he's like, oh, so you're gonna like pay more of the power bill, and I was like, yeah, dude, don't.
That's another thing. Yeah, you have to consider like how much electricity those little.
But I didn't do it for too
chargers
long. I probably did I probably made like $100 or something.
Dude, it's ridiculous. And even if the scooters didn't get vandalized, even if they didn't get beat up like on purpose, like just from regular riding, everything wears out on those things. You know what I mean? Like they're not designed to even last longer than like 8 months. At most, like from normal usage.
Yeah.
The batteries are terrible. They get drained and they lose their power to charge very quickly, you know. And it's so crazy because batteries, like, they pollute like the environment like a lot, you know. We're talking about like heavy metals, and where are we gonna be disposing all these fucking batteries, you know? And it's like hundreds of thousands of batteries are out there like every day, you know. With the Uber bikes and with the jump bikes and all that stuff, literally hundreds of thousands of batteries are out there like all the time. And people jack stuff from those bikes like all the time.
Yeah.
People rip the batteries from it. They'll rip everything off of those bikes. It's just such a stupid design. Like, yo, like no one's taking care of this.
AKA,
like, you know.
I remember that one.
And so like, the more I think about all of these, like the bike industry is just one example, you know. But there's like, they took over the streets with these fucking bikes, and they ruined basically a lot of the, like, they have no shame either how they set up. Like, Ford Go Bikes set up a fucking thing like right in front of the bike shop, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't care about like established retail places that do something related to that, you know? If there was an electric scooter shop, they don't care. They're going to set up outside, you know? They're going to put their scooters outside of that scooter shop. Like, they have no respect, you know?
Wow.
They put them all in the way. There's nowhere where you can actually even legally ride them, you know? Like, you got to go on the bike path, but like no one listens. Like everyone just rides on the sidewalk, you know, with no helmet, you know, and you're supposed to wear a helmet when you're riding any mobility scooter or anything that's going faster than like, I think 5 miles per hour. You got to wear a helmet, like
a bicycle
or scooter, or like if you're on a bike, it depends. But like the terms of service, like legally, no, like if you're over the age of 18, you don't have to wear a helmet, but the terms of service that the city mandates is that they have to wear the helmet, even if you're over 18, for the scooters or the bikes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But nobody really
But
does
nobody does it. Nobody does it.
Well, who the fuck carries this? Just like, if I seen a scooter on the street, like, because I've used them like plenty of times, and like, I'm not carrying a helmet. Like,
yeah, no one's carrying a helmet.
Yeah.
Dude. Who is carrying a helmet?
I've seen people. There's people.
Maybe someone who's using them every day to commute.
Yeah.
At which point, it's probably more expensive to do that than to just buy your own scooter. You know,
yeah.
Support your local bike shop. Buy your own bike. You know, support your local scooter shop. Buy a scooter. You know, instead, these people want to. I think that's the root of the problem. That's what I was gonna try and get at. The root of this problem is people trying to take the easy way out. Like, people don't want to buy a car. They just want to Uber places. People don't want to buy a bicycle. They just want to borrow one off the street, you know?
People don't want to maintain shit.
They don't want to maintain anything. They don't want to learn about anything. They don't want to even navigate to where they're going. They just want Google to tell them how to get there, you know? Mm-hmm. They don't want to even go get food. They just want to order it online and have that shit appear in front of their house like that, you know?
I just saw that movie, Wall-E again.
That's how we're going to end up, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to end up like fat bastards on the fucking thing, just getting fed and watching TV.
That's crazy, dude.
That's what we're turning into, if you think about it.
I don't think we're going to get there. I think we're going to die off.
It's unsustainable. That's what my point is. Like there's no way. You know what I mean? It's unsustainable. Like, how have people not figured out? Like, and I always think about this. Just like, you don't have to be a genius. You just have to look at the math. Like, yo, if I go on Lyft, right, and it costs me $2 to go like 3 miles that way, that's ridiculous. Like, how much is that dude gonna get for carrying me to like 3 miles away for like?
No, there's a minimum. But you know what I was thinking right now? Like, I used a scooter from so I went to go get my motorcycle fixed, and I dropped it off, and I was like, well, how the fuck am I gonna go get home, right? So I was like, oh, let me do Uberpool, right? So that's a lot cheaper. But I recently found out that like Uberpool, especially during traffic hours, like they don't fucking pick you up. Like they're not gonna fuck with you.
What do you mean?
Like it's
like they just won't get it.
Yeah, they just won't pick it up. They're just like, nah, it's too cheap. You know, where like it doesn't make, if it's not the perfect like line of people to pick up and make enough money, they won't even go. They won't even go. So like you'll wait like fucking 5-10 minutes. Like it'll be like 2 minutes to get you connection, and then the connection takes like 3 minutes, and then it's like, sorry, every Uber in your area is not available. So whatever, that shit was like $6, and then an Uber X was $10, and it was when the day I went to go take the motorcycle, I got fired, which was last Tuesday. And so I was like,
you keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're having a hard time dealing with that subject.
No, I want to talk about it too though, but just like about like I want to talk about once you get there about like the idea, the thought of like the behind the mind of how my mind works when it comes to like, should I freak out or not?
Oh,
you know?
I see. Yeah.
Like, and why I didn't, and you know.
Well, tell me now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess other shit's
Well, what were you doing there, first of all?
Oh, where at my
that job? Yeah.
So I was a lead at the time, like 3 weeks ago, and I was making machines, extraction machines that extract cannabis oil from weed.
Like pressing machines? Like
nah, they're like these huge. So the company that hired us to do it was Delta Separations, and there's three stages to these machines. So it's like each machine's like one stage, and all the machines together cost you $500,000. And so like they call them the Ferrari of these because they were so fucking pretty, and that was thanks to me and our team or whatever. You know, like it was the most cosmetic thing you've ever had to do.
And
like,
this is welding, right? You're welding these things. Is this titanium welding?
No, it was stainless steel. But like usually every place I worked, you know, like you can get away with like shit looking kind of like ugly sometimes. Like if you fuck up a little bit and it looks ugly, like no one's gonna kick your ass for it, you know. As long as it works, it's clean. As far like clean.
Yeah.
But
It's
like
the same for bikes.
Yeah, these machines were like, bikes are definitely more cosmetic. But like these were definitely like cosmetic, dude. Like there was something wrong with the welding. Like, hey, you have to fix it, you know. And so that's what we're doing. So pretty much last November, I got my manager talked to me. He's like, hey, like we're gonna bring you back from San Jose to Hayward, and these are two cities. They're like 40 minutes, 30 minutes from each other or whatever. And my company had two different sites, and so I was at San Jose at the time, and last year from July to November. And then November they were like, we have this new project coming up. We want you to lead it, you know. Somebody had already started the research and development for it, and so I was pretty much taking over. And it was awesome, dude. Like pretty much for me personally, like if you give me something new to work with, like a new toy, new puzzle or something like that, I'll dive in. Like it's super exciting, and I'll do my best to finish it all the way, you know. And I did. Like I would fucking go through the worst headaches, dude. Like last year at this time.
This is all welding.
This is all welding, yeah, welding and fabrication. So like this whole time, like I'm like literally losing my health. This is you know, the last podcast. If you look at it, you know, I talked all about health or whatever. I was like, I would show up to work looking like a ghost because I was working 14, 15, 16 hours a day. You know, trying to get these things out. Like we had like these deadlines. Oh, we need this by this time. You know, like I remember I had a flight to in Thanksgiving or something like that, and I was like, hey, I gotta go to LA. He's like, he's like, man, we need this, we need this bad. And I was like, well, get me my flight to LA, dude. Like, and I'll stay an extra day. And they're like, all right, we'll do that for you. So they were like, we were working back and forth, and it was awesome for like 4 months. And then we finally got everything, up to par, up to speed. Pretty much we got it to the point of production where like there's no more figuring shit out. It's all, we already know what to do. Just do it faster. Do it the same. Do it faster. Do it the same. Do it faster. Do the same. I fucking hate that kind of stuff.
And this is all the same kind of. This is the same machine, the same company.
Yeah. So we were just making the same one. Like we were already at serial number 140 or something like that. They take a while. They take like a day, sometimes 2 days to do different things. So like
right.
We have frames and then the parts that go into them.
How big is one of these machines? But you say it's not a press machine, so it's because from what I know about extracts, like when they're extracting weed, like there's 2 types of ways to do it. The first way is they have a machine. It's like a hydraulic press, right? And you push a button and it warms up these plates and they get hot, and then the plates press the weed and extract the oils because it's hot, right? So like that's one way to extract it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to extract.
The second way I seen was like the way I don't like, which is people using butane canisters
with PVC pipe.
Yeah, and then like shoving it in and like, and then it goes through the weed and like melts off.
My homies did that one time.
That's dangerous.
We lit his garage on fire.
That's dangerous.
They had left a tray because like they had the tube like dripping onto the tray, and we were just like chilling, smoking. We would be smoking weed next to that pipe, and then somebody like flicked a joint or a cigarette, and it landed on that tray, bro. And that shit lit up. I remember he had like dry like trees hanging, like drying and shit, and those things just caught on fire, dude.
Oh no.
But anyway, no, it's not like that. They're like, so we call it, the first stage is called the Cup 30, and the Cup 30 is it holds 30 pounds of weed. That's how big it is. So it's like that wide, it's round, and it's like this big or something like that. And so you just stuff weed in there, and then it's like a washing machine. And just fucking.
Oh, that's a different way then. That's actually the newest way of doing it. So like what
ethanol.
What I've seen that they've done before is they take like screens, like with different micron levels. So like imagine like a coffee strainer, but like an advanced one that has like different levels of like things that can go through it, right? Like the holes get smaller and smaller. So, like, they put the weed on top of this thing, and then they shake it, right? And then they're shaking up the weed, and, like, all of the little, like, white bristles that are, like, when you look at weed, there's, like, little crystals all on the outside. All that stuff kind of, like, falls off, and it falls through the mesh, and then it falls through, like, several layers of mesh, right? And then, eventually, it becomes what they call hashish, or that's how people make hash, right? Which is basically like the same thing as pressing it, but you're just doing it while it's dry and at room temperature. Right?
And then I'm pretty sure it doesn't damage.
It doesn't damage. It's exactly right.
No heat damage.
No heat damage.
No chemical damage.
Exactly. So what they've been doing lately is instead of just using sifting and gravity, they've been putting it in a washer with ice. And I watched like a crazy video. Yeah. And they just like shake it around with cold cold water, and then they sift it through the same process of through the micron cloths. Yeah. But instead of doing it while dry, they do it with liquids, and it falls through, and then eventually you get like a brown ball of like hash or whatever. So that's what you're making, those washing machine things.
Yeah. So it was like this big washing machine, and it give you like a gallon of like this goo or like this like thing. And then from there, you'd put it inside the next stage, which is called the evaporator. And it was like this long tube that was like, it was probably like that wide. And it was probably like 60 inches tall. And so they put it in there. There's like all these little fucking tubes and stuff. I don't know how it works exactly. I just know how to make the thing or whatever.
Right.
And then it drips down and it like evaporates slowly, and it becomes even more condensed. And then there's another rolling film that makes it even more condensed. So whatever, at the end you're left with this vial of like $10,000 worth of oil. $10,000 worth of oil. Like that, out of this little vial, like you can make chocolates, fucking all kinds of shit or whatever. Like make products to make $10,000 worth of stuff. So whatever.
I've been thinking a lot about that as well. I think it's now that marijuana is legal here.
It's gonna get bigger, dude. It's just gonna get bigger.
Yeah, it is gonna get bigger. I feel like we're like halfway through the expansion, you know? Like I feel like it was a good idea to get into this business like early on, you know, before it kind of started blowing up. I think it's like halfway through the explosion, and then like, and I think like maybe like in like a year or two, it'd be too late. Like they're like Marlboro is gonna be making fucking weed cigarettes later. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so that's what I was doing. Like I said, it got boring. Back in June of this year, they pretty much let go of a lot of people. I think in May, and I thought I was gonna be one of those people. I was like, I'm not really giving my all anymore, you know. And I expected to get let go. So when they kept me on, I was surprised, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, you guys kept me on? They're like, well, dude, like, you're really good at what you do. Like, you know, just try harder, you know, like, just let's do better. Come on, you know, stop fucking around. And so I was like, all right, you know. So I would try, you know, like I would do what I could, and then sometimes, like I'd fuck off. I'd be on my phone, or like I'd fucking go to the bathroom and shit. You know, I started being one of those employees. And yeah, just kind of like not caring about my job, because like deep down inside I really didn't want to be there. And
what happened? They were just like, hey yo,
yeah, pretty
get
much
the fuck out of here.
pretty much like first they stripped me of the lead title, and then they fired me like 2 weeks later, because like I was like I was eating in my area, and I was supposed to do that. Yeah, I'm just like not a great rule follower, especially when I don't give a fuck. And not to say that like I don't like, I regret it, because I'm like, man, I could have kept going, you know. I was making great money there, but getting over that, like that day I literally just started applying for jobs. That day somebody hit me up and was like, hey man, like I do tours in SF, like, you know, I want you to come and do photography for us. And I fucking made this, like I made $150, you know, like for doing 2 nights. And
yeah, I'm actually surprised as well. Like after I got back from SF, like I've been taking pictures as well, pretty often. I got a pretty big portfolio now, mostly focusing on like party photography. But yeah, people have been asking me now, like, yo, and
you get paid too?
It's like way easier than DJing. Like DJing, I have to carry shit, you know, I have to set up, I have to play for like 6 hours straight, you know. Sometimes I go to a gig and I just play like a 1 hour set or whatever. Like maybe that's the only time it's kind of comparable to photography. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, like taking pictures is like, it's like way easier, dude. Like I just show up, like it's all about having the right camera and knowing how to take pictures. It's like, it's not hard, it's not difficult, you know what I mean? And I feel like there's a lot of photographers out there like starting, like getting into the business, and I think if they just approached it like the way that a DJ approaches his gigs, you know, like you go out there and you get gigs, you know, like you work hard to get them. Like you show people like, yo, like I could take pictures of your party, they're gonna look rad, or I could take pictures of whatever, you know, and they'll look really good. Yeah, people need, like, we're in the digital age of like people trying to make everything look very good, you know. So there is more work for photographers and videographers, I think, now.
You think so?
Yeah, videography. For sure. It's kind of like you know, maybe it's saturated, you know, maybe there's too many photographers and too many videographers, but there's more work. That's why there's more of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and there's a lot of whack ones. Like, if you can easily climb up that ladder and like sift out all the whack photographers and all the whack videographers. There's a grip.
I'm definitely like not the best photographer right now, but I try, and like, you know, the people that I take pictures of, like they've liked my stuff so far. Yeah, that's and I'm cheap. Yeah. I'm cheap too, so you know, like it's not like they're like expecting fucking super professional. That's why my Instagram is called Super Amateur Photo. You know.
Yeah, you probably would have to do something about that eventually, though.
My Instagram account. Yeah,
but the good thing is you can easily just change it. You know.
Yeah.
I would even go to like the rest of the platforms. Pick it. You know, pick something that you like. Pick a nice name. You know, and then after you,
I just feel like with
even just Eloy's.
Exactly, I don't want to do that shit. Like everybody has that. Like what's so, like I feel like with that is already like not standing out. You know, Eloy Delgadillo photography.
No, not like that. That's
or like, Eloy's photography. Like, I don't know.
Something clever, you know. Think of a clever way of, you know, designing that around it. But I don't even tell people I'm a photographer. Like, it doesn't say it anywhere, you know. Except maybe on my website, I have like one like tab or one page where it's like just pictures. But for the most part, like, I guess I'm more like of an event organizer. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever,
Okay.
you know?
And that
But
comes
yeah.
with the package.
Yeah, like I take pictures, I take videos,
Yeah.
like I fucking bring music, you know, these things, lights, speakers.
Well, I started to really like say that because I wanted to put it into fruition. Is that what the word is?
Fruition.
Fruition, yeah. Fruta.
Close enough.
Fruition, like, pretty much, like, I wanted to do that because, like, all my life, I kind of was always shy about like, I'm confident in certain things, but, like, when it comes to being something, like, what does it take to be a master? What does it take to actually know what you're doing?
Well, I think that's where you're confused. There's a misconception. There's like something that I learned when I was young, is that there is no such thing
As a master.
as someone who is something. Like, titles don't actually exist. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a DJ because I DJ, because that's what I do, right? So I claim it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be the one to claim it. Like, no one gives you a certificate that says, here, Eloy, you're a photographer.
Right, exactly.
Like, no, like, you're the one that has to just say, I am a photographer because I take pictures, and you just claim it, you know?
Yeah.
Everything else is fake, dude. When people try to get at you like, oh, I've been doing it for 10 years, like, that's just fake, dude. Now, there are some people that do deserve respect, who have been doing something for a really long time and have been like, and kind of advanced that to a whole new level, right?
Yeah.
So those things, sure, like, you know, I think that they deserve, like, to be praised, to be elevated to a different level of, like, yeah, these guys taught me a lot about photography or music or whatever it may be, you know? So I think that's important, but at the same time, you know, people have said it, you fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just, like, you have to be confident in the fact that you know how to do what you like to do.
Yeah.
And then people, you don't have to convince people, like, people will know.
So, like, for instance, I follow this page on Facebook. It's called San Francisco Bay Area Photographers and Models. And so there's just, like, models, companies, and photographers on there. And they're constantly, like, asking each other. Like, usually models and photographers will, like, talk to each other for, like, free shoots. You know, a model wants a photographer, and they're, like, they're sharing each other times for free because they're both giving each other exposure or whatever. But a company, if they ask for a photographer or a model, then company's paying, you know what I'm saying? And so these two people were asking for photographers, and I saw both of their posts, and I was like, after I got fired, I was like, fuck it. I never said this before, and I was just like, hi, I'm Eloy Delgadillo. I'm a professional photographer. My rate is $75 an hour, and this and that, boom, boom, boom. And they're just like, boom, on it. Like, they wanted me. They wanted to do this. It didn't work out because, like, I guess their models and their products were, like, off or whatever. And I ended up saying, like, I'm going to come out to LA, so I don't have time for it anymore. But yeah, I wanted to do it last week. But just saying it, like, I was like, holy shit. Yeah, no shit. I was fucking shitting balls because I didn't have the equipment that they needed. Like, I didn't have lighting and stuff like that. And I was going to just go get it at Best Buy.
But all that stuff, you know, you work with what you have for the meanwhile, and then, you know, if you need to advance, if you need to add more to your arsenal, then you could do that with time, you know.
Yeah.
Like, nobody starts with like how stupid would it be to go and buy everything that you need for a professional shoot, like lights and everything,
I
right?
was literally gonna do that, but I was gonna return it. I was gonna return
sure, borrowing it or something like that, sure. But like, if you like literally bought everything to be like, you're throwing yourself in the water and you haven't even put your foot in to test it to see how hot it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's much better. Like, you don't want to risk everything either for, like, you know, like, this type of business is risky. Like, unlike like, having a job.
Like you were talking about, like, all the lenses and stuff you had to buy. Like, I bought an 85 millimeter 1.8, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, I want to do bokeh, you know, I want to get portraits. And then when, like, these guys started to ask me for pictures and, like, you know, certain things, I was like, oh, fuck, I can't do, like, an event with this lens,
yeah,
you know?
You cannot, yeah.
And I was like, damn. So, but like, it was weird because, like, I would still get invited. He'd be like, well, just come and try it out. You know, we'll see what we get. And they were just like, yo, I love these pictures. And I was like, really? Like, I just did the best I could do with the lens I had. But doing that, like, I figured it out. Like, I figured out how to fucking use that lens, you know? And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that's how it happens, yeah.
So I was like, you know.
Experience is very important, too. Like, you know. And this is how I feel about it, like as well, when it comes to all of these different independent like jobs or whatever, or like or entrepreneurship hustles or whatever. Like for the most part, there's a bunch of people out there faking it till they make it or whatever, you know, people pretending that they can do all these things for you. But in the end, like, it does take a certain amount of skill to be able to take pictures, to be able to make videos, edits, things like this. It takes time to learn all those things individually, you know? Like, one person cannot do everything, you know? So, like, when you look at someone, they're editing videos, they took a long time. They learned whatever program they used, Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro. They're making these clips and all this stuff, right? Like, that's important. Then when you look at a photographer, like, you had to learn that particular lens, right? You had an experience with that lens. And then maybe you'll get another, like, multiple aperture, like multi-range zoom lens, you know? And maybe you learn how to use that. Maybe you get, like, a nice wide open, like, you know, like, not for, like, portraits, but, like, you know, a wide angle lens, and then you'll figure out that,
So,
you know,
yeah, I pretty much, this weekend for that tour company, it's called Wild SF Tours. Just throwing their name out there. You know, they're pretty dope. They wanted to do a paranormal tour, which was involved like 2 hours and a half. And 2 hours and a half, and then like 10 people on the tour in small spaces, you know, low lit areas. So I was like, fuck, I don't have a lens for that. And then so I was like, well, I know there's renting, you know. So I went to go rent one or whatever, and it cost me $30. And I got a 40 millimeter one, 2.0.
yeah, that's perfect for that kind of scenario.
And it was
you know?
like awesome, dude. I was like, they love the pictures. I made a little video if I could show it. Fun.
Yeah, you can. I mean, we can. If you, is it on the internet?
Nah,
No.
it's not.
Yeah, well, then we can't.
Dang it. But yeah, so like,
You can send it to me and then I'll pull it up.
all right, I'll do it in a bit. We could take a little break. Maybe I have to take a piss.
Yeah, feel free.
But yeah, it was dope. Like I really learned a lot, you know, and just kind of faking it till I make it. I guess it's working out. You know, like I'm just putting myself out there. I've already told myself, like, if something does happen when like somebody doesn't like something, then we can always work out. Like, you know, it's like, hey, do you want your money back, or like, do you want me to try it again, or whatever the case may be. Like, if we don't want to work together anymore, that's fine. Like, I'm already okay with that kind of stuff.
You know what I would also advise is to stay away from all of that like corporate stuff, because there's plenty of people out there robbing people who like have dreams about photography or DJing or being a producer, or there's all these like internet hustles, right? And there's like these companies or even other people who just rob people, like, and then they pretend to give them like all this hope, like, oh yeah, we'll get you clients for your photography, or subscribe here and subscribe there, share this and that, and then we'll get you more customers. And then the same thing happens to DJs, the same thing happens to all these people who have these skills, right? So I would advise stay away from all that and work with like people that you know, like it's always important to start there. Like, you know, if you go to parties, if you take, you know, wherever you're at, like where your friends are, like your actual base, people you actually know, you know, take pictures for them. And then that's kind of where it starts, you know?
Yeah.
Then after that, you know, what you were doing, hunting for people who might need photography in your area, like a random tour guide thing, or like, you know, something that has to do with San Francisco. You know, there's plenty of tourism over there. You can.
There's a lot of things going on, dude.
There's plenty of stuff over there. So many things going on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's plenty of photographers. But what are all those other photographers doing? They're trying to get into this whole, like, I want to take pictures with models and I want to be a famous photographer type of thing, you know? I would probably stay away from that. I would, like, start in a more humble base of, like, you know, working with local artists and people that you actually know, you know? Like, that's kind of what I do, I guess. Like, I just go to gigs, I go to shows.
It's actually a better, not a better, but, like, a nicer, how do I say it? Like, it feels like when I've done models, it's like, well, not models, I haven't done many, you know. I took pictures of like 2 girls already, you know, and like, you know, it was fun, like we had a good time doing it and whatnot, but there's not like, the artistry is not like the same when like I have a band or like a couple of people who are just like having fun, you know. It's like a little bit different. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Like, there's 2 types of photography. I'm not that kind of photographer. I only take pictures of things how they are, You know what I mean? Like in their natural ambience, like the way that people are acting normally. I never take pictures of people when they know I'm taking a picture. You know what I mean? I take pictures of people when they're not looking, or I'm taking pictures of bands while they're playing, or the DJ when he's not. You know, of course, sometimes people will catch me and be like, "Hey, you know, like," and or take a picture and they'll pose, but posing is not really my thing. And none of my pictures are edited. None of them. I upload them directly how they come from my camera, you know, like just raw.
Yeah, I've definitely edited it.
And that's good too, though. That's an actual photographer. I'm not an actual photographer. I'm more like just kind of capturing the ambience, you know?
Yeah.
Where the other type of work is that kind of work, like taking pictures of models, editing the pictures to get the maximum, like, qualities out of it, right? Or whatever the particular model wants, right? Not, 'cause that's what your job is, right? You're manipulating it. Then you have to learn Photoshop, Lightroom, and all these other tools.
So far just Lightroom, because like Photoshop.
You can also, if you have a Sony camera, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can also actually, if you wanted to know more about Sony cameras, like there's a lot of stuff that you can do with those cameras, dude. Like the first thing I would do is look up. There's a thing where you can hack your Sony camera to do other things that it doesn't let you do normally.
Like what?
Like record for longer, like unlimited recording. Yeah, because that's how these two cameras that we're using for this podcast, that's how they're able to stay on forever without overheating.
Oh, okay.
Or, because they're hacked.
You change the software?
Yeah, you download. But these cameras, all the Sony cameras are basically Android machines. So you just go online and you search up like hacking Sony cameras, and you'll get like a web page. They let you download special programs, because you know how your camera has like programs in it, like apps or whatever, and you can run an app like say like camera control, and it's like an app that lets you use your phone to control your camera, right? It's just very handy. I use that all the time when I'm out taking pictures, because sometimes my memory card runs out or whatever, or sometimes I need, like, the phone is just like such a good tool to connect to your camera. And another thing I do is every time I'm taking pictures at a party, the pictures instantly go to my phone, and then all of those pictures I upload immediately to Instagram, and I let people tag themselves, and I get more follows like that. I'm at a party or whatever. Yeah. Everyone's tagging themselves, and if I took like
wait
50,
so you do the Wi-Fi remote where, like, I mean, after you
exactly.
Just, after you've taken the pictures, you upload them, or
no,
or while you're taking pictures,
they're going straight to your phone instantly.
Yeah, you need to teach me how to do that for sure.
And then you can just open your Instagram app. They're all there already, and you can just tag them and shit. Yeah, it's very easy.
Definitely need me to
so
teach me
that's one thing. The second thing, definitely hacking your camera so you can get more out of it. You know, it's just so much cooler. And they give you, like, sometimes there's paid apps. Have you seen, like, when you go in there, like, they charge you more money to get like a timer app, or they charge you more money for like different apps inside of the camera.
I haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, so those you can get free versions of them from the same app or whatever. You just download it. It's like jailbreaking your camera, kind of.
Oh, but it's not as complex as like iPhone.
No, it's like super easy. Like you can do it. Like it's like hella easy, like super easy. Yeah.
You just gotta connect it to your computer.
You just go on. Yeah, exactly. You connect it to your computer. You download the shit and done. You know. All right. So I would definitely look into that. But Sony cameras, they also have another tool that you should definitely use, and they have it's a 3-part tool, and I think it's better than Lightroom because it's made by Sony. So you download this app, and you have an A7 Mark II. So you can just get the this app. It will definitely work with your camera, and it's basically Lightroom, but it lets you control your camera with the computer. So you can use the computer to take pictures, like live. Like you can have your computer, you can have your camera on a tripod, and you can be taking pictures with your laptop, like via the camera or whatever.
What the hell?
Yeah,
I've seen people.
That's studio photography. That's how people take pictures in the studio, because you don't want to be touching the camera because it's gonna shake and, like, you know. Yeah. So you use the laptop to take pictures, but also
this is hacking it too, or
no? This is part of Sony's thing. Yeah, Sony has this triple program. It's called Remote, Live View, and something else. Basically, it's Lightroom plus more features.
I do this with my laptop. I download the app on my laptop.
It's free. Yeah.
And then
if you have a Sony camera, they give it to you.
Is it
with a USB cable? Yeah. It's awesome, dude. It's like you should definitely get this stuff on your computer, whatever kind of computer you have. and then it'll let you, like, it's like free Lightroom. Like, you can go on there and you can edit your pictures, and it lets you do other things like migrate pictures to your computer, and like it's just easier, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's made by Sony, so get it. I don't know if anyone else takes pictures out there, but if you guys, you know, are interested, we can definitely dive more into that one of these days.
Oof, very hard topic to open up with. What was the first thing?
We were talking about the gig economy and all those things,
yeah.
and the scooters. Yeah, it is crazy though, all that stuff too, man. This is exactly like, all right, so these are the competing factors in our lives, right? Like, we got basically three options. We got A, traditional employment, right? A job where they pay you steady money and then you do your taxes at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You got B, a gig economy job where you get a 1099 form at the end of the year and you have to pay taxes. That's Uber, Lyft, that's all that shit, DoorDash, all of that. They don't actually have employees. They just have a bunch of subcontractors, right? And then C, your own hustle, your own business that you start, whether it's an actual location or whether it's a project like photography or DJing or producing or making YouTube videos or whatever it may be, right? That's kind of like the three options that we have as a youth these days, and they're all terrible, to be honest. Like, the first option is a job. They're never paying us a lot, and they're always firing us, and they're always these companies are always switching names and making us jump through all these hoops, you know, all these agencies and all this bullshit, right? Like, there isn't just like a good old job anymore, you know? And then option B, the gig economy, obviously they fuck you, you know? And then option C, your own side business, well, damn, that's hard too, you know? Like,
so I want to say something about that, like the whole job thing. So when I moved to the Bay, I got a job because I had just gotten fired from SpaceX, and SpaceX is out here in Hawthorne, and I started welding there. You know, I was there for 4.5 years, and so when I left there, I went to go work for this company, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well," because I didn't really know, you know, that was my first like big job, you know, my first career job or whatever, and so when I left, I just opened my mouth like, "Yeah, I made this much money in my last job." And so they hear that and they're like, "Oh, but we'll pay you $2 more or whatever," you know. But in the Bay, dude, like that was not nearly enough. Like,
there's a big difference people might not know about.
Yeah,
man.
it's
even
not,
for me as a bicycle mechanic. Like, over here, you make nothing. Over there, we were actually making decent money working on bicycles.
but it costs way more to fucking
That's
live
the
there.
fucking problem.
Yeah,
it's the
so that's
fucking
why they pay
problem.
more. But if you find like a good place to rent cheap and all that stuff, and you were like somehow making it, then you're good, you know. And I'm in that position right now. Like, I get paid more than I pay rent, and I'm okay with it. I don't have my own place, but it's what I'm working with right now. But I wanted to get to like the point of I was trying to make was that when I got fired, I went to this place and I was there for 6 months. I was not happy either. Like, I'm usually not happy after like 6 months to like a year. Like, you know, I'm just like, I'm bored. You know, I get fucking bored. Like, I'm like done with shit. And so I figured like, well, if I keep jumping around, like, you know, now, like back in the day, like, you know, a job, you say like, oh, people don't have good jobs anymore, or there's like not good jobs out there anymore. I think there is. It's just like also like we, like us millennials, like we don't, like we just get bored. Like a lot of us get bored and stuff.
You know, I agree that almost everyone that I know is a terrible employee. But I can't say that I am. I think I'm a great employee.
Right.
Like, I think I'm really good at what I do. And whatever like business I work for, my whole job is to make them make more money and be a better business, right? Like, so I can get paid too. Like, I think I'm a really good employee. But I'll be honest with you, like all my homies, like just go to Home Depot. Just go to Home Depot right now and see if someone will help you with some shit, dog. Like, no one will help you with shit, dude. Like, people are like on their phone and shit. You ask someone, like, do they know where to find this? I don't know. Do you know what kind of screw I need to fit here? Like, do you work at the fucking hardware store? At least learn, like, things about hardware. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like, if I worked at the hardware store, I would love it. I'd be like, yeah, I know all about all the metric bolt sizes. You know, what kind of tools you need. Oh, drill bits? Oh, we got those over here. Oh, you need a carbide? Oh, you trying to drill through some hard steel? You know what I mean? Like, where are these guys at? You know, every time I go there, it's depressing, dude.
There's very few of those.
It's very few of those people now, man. Like our generation is fucked up, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like no one has those qualities anymore. No one is trying to like.
But
no one's
for
trying to
that
work
same
hard.
for that same reason, like you are expendable now. Like and everybody has always been expendable.
But now it's gotten worse.
But like I learned that very quickly, and I was like, oh shit, like you know. So when I went to when I left that place, I went to my next place, and I remember they paid me like $10 more, bro. I was like, holy shit, like this is the most money I've ever made my whole life. And so I was like, super dope, right? So I remember when the lead gave me my test. He gave me a welding test, and then we went to his office. I didn't know he was the lead, so he wasn't supposed to ask me this. He's like, so how much are you trying to make? And I was like, I told him, you know. He's like, all right, well, we'll see if they would give you that, you know. And then he's like, well, we'll see what the manager says. And I was like, you're not the manager? And he's like, no, I'm the lead. And I was like, oh, fuck. You know, and I was going through an agency. They told me how much to ask for or whatever. And so I ended up showing up, right? And the guy never liked me. He was there for like a month and a half. He ended up leaving. And I figured, I was like, man, can I put one and one, two and two together? Whatever. I was like, yeah, maybe he wasn't making that much, you know. He was there for like 10 years, 15 years or something. He just seemed like one of those dudes who's like, if I do good by the company will do good by me, you know? And
psych.
Yeah. And like,
psych.
I remember,
I feel more bad for old people though, low key, because like at least we grew up in this environment and at least we're dealing with it, you know.
Yeah.
But old people that grew up in like in the good old days, you know, or like now the internet is calling all these people boomers, right? Yeah. Now all these fucking people, like I feel really bad for them. They're getting boomers. Yeah, they're getting destroyed out there, dude. You know what I mean? Like they have all these high expectations of like for companies and for work and all this, and they're just all getting robbed and like. And then none of them, like, so many people that I know in their older age have no retirement plan, have no money, or completely broke, have super high credit card debt, you know, like, they're also suffering, dude. Like, it's not just us. We just know how to deal with it because we grew up in it, you know what I mean? They grew up in a time where they didn't have to do all that, and now it's too late, you know what I mean? Like, they should have planned for this shit, you know?
Well, we're going to be working for fucking YouTubers, bro.
Bro, don't even tell me that because that's what's happening right now. We're doing a podcast on YouTube right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're making money off of this, probably putting ads in here and shit. Like, I'm not getting that money. You know what I mean? They're getting it. And I hate YouTube and Google low-key. Like, I don't even like them as a corporation or, I think they should be broken up. But we have to do what we have to do, right? Like we have to participate in the game to survive, unfortunately. I wish we didn't have to, you know? I wish we could pull out somehow and like
we can.
You know.
It's really crazy. Like in order how to do it. Like
I've tried it for 8 years straight. I've tried 2 different bike shops. I've tried to pull out. I've tried not to use credit. I've tried all these tactics, dude. Everybody knows me as the guy who's like not trying to play the game. You know.
Yeah.
And somehow
you still get sucked into it.
Yeah. Somehow it just happens, dude. It's unavoidable now. We live in a society that's just gone too far. You know what I mean? But on the same note, you know. What time? It's about time we probably call this one.
All right.
It's what 8? I don't know how long we've been going on for, but I like how the topics, even though they were wide ranging, they all had to do with the same thing.
Yeah.
Work. You know, what do we do to survive these days? You know, what are people doing out there to survive? You know, we're doing everything.
I mean, the last time I was here, I was really excited to try it. I didn't really get into it, but you know, I had met these 2 guys who they do. They're herbalist, and they do it through like Instagram and stuff like that.
That's cool, man.
And you know, they pretty much work by selling herbs. Like one of the guys lives in Ecuador right now, and he gets herbs on the low. You know, he makes all these capsules and stuff, and sells like a 30-day plan for like $300. You know, and
that's you know,
and like
all that stuff is like, I think it's good. You know, as long as you're not. The more people that don't participate in giving like big corporations money, I think the better, you know. Like this guy, he's doing his own thing. You know?
And I totally respect him for it. Like it's, like it was really exciting to think that like I would be like, oh, maybe I could do it one day, but I wasn't even like I hadn't even started, you know, my journey. I had started my journey, but I like this guy had 10 years on like.
Well, how old are you now?
I'm 29.
See, so I mean, Usually, like,
Well, like what I was trying to do, what I've been thinking about doing lately, because after getting fired, this is a little more personal, but I also broke up with my girl, and
damn,
the same
you
day.
came down here with some baggage.
Yeah, the same day,
The same day.
The same day, yeah.
That's.
But
Oh,
I'm
man.
not. I'm fine, dude. Like,
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's
yeah,
affecting you, like,
no.
but I'm just
it's just
saying,
a little bit. There is a little bit of like baggage there, but like
I'm terrible at handling problems. Like, usually if something happens, like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm just like, yo, like, fuck that, and I just like move on to the next thing. And then later I pay the repercussions for not having dealt with my emotions like at that time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what you're doing.
I'm kind of like putting them aside in a sense, like through like work and like trying to figure things out. But the thing is that back in January is when the first time I actually ever loved myself. Like, and I didn't realize I was really doing that until I realized it. I was like, holy shit, these past couple months I've fucking been loving myself. Like, how did I do that? Oh, I was giving myself time away from others, like pushing myself away from other people, things like that. And so when I got in a relationship with her, it was like literally like that, the last podcast. So that's how we were only together for like 4 months or something. But, I was in love, and like I was like, oh, this is going to work out, but it was long distance and all these factors in, like, but at the end of the day, like when the day it was happening, I was like feeling like shit. The next day I was feeling like shit. And so like, I was like, fuck, like, what do I do? And then I just went on how I was before her, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna survive, like it's all good. I'm gonna survive without this. Like, I'm not gonna survive without a job, but this job isn't gonna fucking. It's now that I don't have it, now that I don't have her, like I'm not gonna die,
Yeah, I mean, those are just like things that you do. Those aren't like, it's not you. So a lot of people suffer because they identify their own self with the things that are part of their life,
Yeah.
Like as if that is them. So when they lose it, it's like you cut off their arm,
Yeah.
But if you know that those things are not you, that those are just things that you do, those are things that are in your life because you put them there. You're the one that has the control.
Yeah.
You can replace it. You can, you can do whatever you need to do to get by.
It's just like my bio on my Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, what's it say?
I can't remember. I feel like I made that quote up, but somebody told me that they heard it somewhere else. But it says, I am the engineer, I am the conductor, and I am I was like 3 things or something like that of my life.
You forgot your own damn quote?
I forgot my own damn quote. But it was something like that, and then it was like, this is a crazy train ride. Like, let's go along for the ride. I forgot something like, but pretty much saying like, I pretty much create everything in my life, and yeah, like, so like
that's a reality for everybody.
Yeah, but some people don't realize that, some people like they really feel like everything around them is what makes them, which is like, no, you make everything around yourself.
Of course. Yeah.
Your world is, you are the center of your world, and everything revolves around you. Like when you want to create, you know what I'm saying? But if you like to get pushed around, if you like to fucking, be told what to do all the time and like things like that, then yeah.
I mean, you can either, orbit something else, or you can be the thing that other things orbit. You know what I mean? And it's all a matter of perspective, because it is both of those things.
So I actually wanted to kind of start like a vlog. Just because like I got in, I know where
like a video, like you mean like a blog on the internet, or like a vlog?
No, like YouTube, like blog, like like just kind of talking about certain shit, like the things that I did get over, like I was obese a year ago, I had low self-esteem a year ago.
Just create a YouTube channel.
Yeah, and
just,
that's kind of what
upload your stuff.
I'm gonna start.
There's so many other platforms right now that are kind of like vertical videos becoming a big thing right now. Horizontal videos kind of.
What is
and
that?
I hate it because like
for phones.
Like this podcast is like horizontal, so if you wanted to watch this on your phone, you'd turn it sideways, right? But people don't even want to do that anymore. Like they just want to see the video vertical. So like IGTV is one of those things that's like vertical video. And you don't have to stick to one platform, like kind of how we do this podcast. It goes everywhere, right?
Right.
And
how did you get it to
there's
multi-stream?
like different ways to connect it so that you can. But the program
Do you have to
connects
pay
it
or
separate
anything?
thing. No, it's cool. Some services they do charge, but there's ways around
and
it.
you're not getting this.
I'm probably gonna make a video later on like how to start a podcast in case people are curious how I did this for like the low though, you know, like not how to start an official podcast and spend all your dough. No, like how to start a podcast for the low.
I mean, I feel like this takes a little bit of dough, you know, like especially like when you moved in here, how many months did you have? Like a couple months, and you had already created all this. Like
I already had most of this bullshit to be honest. At the bike shop.
But to create it, to like put it together.
Oh yeah, I had already envisioned it when we were in San Francisco, and I already wanted to start it over there. I told all my friends in San Francisco, yo, like I'm gonna start a podcast. Like you guys should all be. Like I had an idea of everyone I wanted it to be on the podcast, right? And like the reasons for wanting to start a podcast, but then. You know, we ended up leaving like drastically, you know, and so then I had to just kind of rearrange it a little bit. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I was still like, no, I'm still having the podcast, you know. Like,
I wonder what that palm reader lady does with all that space.
I don't know, dude. I wonder too. They're probably using all the stuff we built. I don't think they tore it down, you know. Like, why would they tear it down?
You guys built Josh's room and
we built a bunch of stuff in that bike shop. Yeah, we built an apartment. We built all kinds of cool stuff in there. But, you know, it is what it is, you know. We already did it twice, you know. We don't know what the future holds. Hopefully I get another studio space somewhere, you know, where we can have a podcast like this and bring on artists and other people, maybe more people, you know. This is kind of a small studio. But, you know, in the future, we'll see what it brings. You know, this is a conversation about all our endeavors, right?
Yeah.
This is all the things that we want to do with our life. It's a little personal. Usually don't do personal podcasts like this.
I get very personal very fast. Like,
yeah. And that's good.
It's funny because like sometimes like people get really uncomfortable. Like literally I've had people walk out. Like I'll be talking to a group and then like especially when I was going through shit, like going through my transition, like I talk about like, you know, my friend dying or my dad dying and stuff, and they'd be like you know, like what the fuck? Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, it's good, man. Don't worry about it.
That's just you relapsing, coming back to the real world from
it's reality,
exploring your ayahuasca experiences and all this stuff. But
it's just reality. Like, it's not that I'm talking about it to bring anybody down.
But it's also because in today's day, it's another thing that bothers me a lot about people. Like, it actually bothers me a lot. There's all this, like, fake positivity bullshit, you know? Like, there's all these people that are, like, they only, like, oh, if you're negative, I'll block you, or if you're gonna post negative things, block yourself, or some stupid shit like this on the internet. Like, dude, like, negativity exists. You're supposed to acknowledge it. You can't just ignore it, you know. Like, but these people,
then it grows.
They want to curate their life on the internet.
Grows
they want to block out the negativity, and they only want to accept positivity. And what is positivity to these positive people? It's just things about themselves and things about what they call good things, right? But then they're never going to learn about the bad things, you know? They're going to become naive. They're going to, you know? Like, you need to know that bad things happen. Like, you can't have joy if you don't understand the opposite of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like I said, maybe it's just because you underwent this ayahuasca experience, maybe it's opened up your mind to like these new ideas.
No, I was definitely prior to that. It was my first mushroom trip 10 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, I've always been like that though. Like,
It makes sense that you're just like that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, Eloy came back on the studio. He's the first guest, but also the first guest to return. So. No, actually, that's incorrect. Javi, the Hong, has been here twice as well. Yeah, so yeah, check him out on YouTube. He's funny.
All right.
Yeah, so we're about to check out because we actually have another party to go to. It's my friend Brandon B. Julius' birthday today, and he's gonna be at Sharky's in Newport Beach. So we're gonna head over there and hang out and chit chat with the boys, take some pictures. So yeah, if you guys are in the area, stroll by. You can catch us there. We'll be hanging out. And Eloy's in town for how long?
Maybe till Sunday.
So he's in LA for a little while. So everybody.
I start my new job next week.
Oh, new job already? That's good.
Yep.
Well, we'll see you guys next time. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Ray, and thank you, Val, for checking in. And thank you, Jen, for commenting. Woo.
Bye.
Peace out, you guys.